To govern a massive agrarian empire, an emperor requires a sprawling bureaucracy. But that reliance creates a structural vulnerability. The same officials tasked with executing the emperor's will also control the information reaching the throne. This creates a principal-agent problem. An unchecked administration acts in self-interest, bottlenecking data flow to the emperor. The historical solution was a parallel, independent branch, the censorate. It provided a direct pathway to the emperor, bypassing the traditional hierarchy entirely. The censorate functioned as an active agency designed to audit, police, and interrogate the state apparatus. Over 2 millennia, this institution evolved from a simple executive counterweight in early antiquity to a massive intelligence matrix spanning the continent. True autocratic power relies on engineering systems that permanently pit administrators against their own auditors. In the early decades of the former Han period, around 206 BCE, the core tension in the government existed between the emperor and his highest-ranking official, the counselor-in-chief. To manage this, the Han established the two-ministry system, or erfu. They positioned the censor-in-chief, the yushi dafu, as a direct counterbalance to the counselor. The Han weaponized document flow as a control mechanism. Memorials from the lower administration had to pass the censor node before reaching the emperor. This applied to outbound orders too. Every edict required the censor's countersignature before reaching the counselor. This document bottleneck granted the censorate the power to review, halt, or flag any major policy decision before it became law. To support this check, the vice censor received the authority to interview state officials and directly supervise the regional inspectors managing the outer territories. The agency also maintained bandit-suppressing censors, known as embroidered robe censors, giving the censorite emergency paramilitary applications to suppress rebellions. The Han model proves the foundational rule of Chinese oversight. Controlling the paper trail equates to controlling the highest echelons of executive power. The architectural scale of the Tang capital complexes reflects a bureaucracy that had outgrown simple executive checkpoints. By 618 CE, the geographic and economic scale of the empire required a more sophisticated surveillance apparatus. The Tang solution was to divide the censorite into a specialized 3-department matrix. The Headquarters Bureau audited capital granaries and the state treasury, intercepting illicit funds. The Palace Bureau enforced court protocol and commanded metropolitan police. The Investigation Bureau projected power outward, auditing local administrations, agro-colonies, and regional jails. The Tang formalized a devastating legal power, autonomous impeachment. This is the authority of a censor to launch formal charges against an official without seeking prior approval from a superior. Because censors did not need permission to launch investigations, even low-ranking auditors could independently target senior ministers. This autonomy expanded in 648 CE, when the censorate was granted its own independent prison system, allowing the agency to hold and interrogate suspects while bypassing standard judicial review. Empress Wu Zetian weaponized this infrastructure to eliminate political rivals, using the censorate and secret petition boxes to bypass the public legal system. The Tang era reveals the trade-off inherent in the design. An autonomous intelligence agency blocks corruption effectively, but transforms into an instrument of state terror when untethered from judicial limits. During the Song dynasty, administrators identified a critical flaw in the Tang system. Its bureaus were functionally separate, but they did not align with the daily operational structure of the rest of the government. The Song reorganized the censorate into 6 investigation sections to shadow the traditional 6 ministries. In this mirrored system, the section for revenue audited transport commissioners, while justice audited judicial commissioners. In the Ming and Qing dynasties, the institution was elevated to the title of Ducha Yuan and granted a massive increase in formal rank. The agency achieved final geographic stabilization by replacing temporary tours with permanent chief investigating censors embedded in all 12 provinces. By the Qing period, oversight and military power had fully integrated. Regional governors-general concurrently held titles as censors-in-chief, cementing the agency's presence in the highest levels of provincial administration. The principal agent problem had been answered with a total coverage matrix, a permanent web of central, departmental, and provincial auditors from which no administrator could escape. The censorate followed a 2,000-year trajectory from a single office checking document flow in the Han to a sprawling matrix of regional and ministerial auditors in the Qing. The design succeeded by granting low-ranking officials the autonomous power to impeach high-ranking targets, creating an asymmetric leverage that secured the ruler's position. When the imperial system collapsed in 1911, the architecture of the censorate survived the death of the empire. In 1912, the Republic of China directly modeled its new oversight branch, the control yuan, on this ancient imperial architecture. This modern iteration preserved the core functions of autonomous auditing, widespread investigation, and independent impeachment powers separate from the executive or legislative branches. The Chinese censorate represents a durable engineering solution to statecraft, an architecture that secures power by